the head coach of the Denver Broncos, courtesy of Zebra Technologies, Super Bowl winner himself, Sean Payton. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you here.
It's great being here.
Thanks, pal.
It's exciting.
It is. You could actually feel the energy in this town right now.
I think so. I think, and the interesting thing is, you know, the week leading up to this game, Network will run the feed starting with Super Bowl I, II, III, and those games just run over and over. And the thing I remember, the year we were playing in this game, the week prior, you know, being in Miami, you get to your room and it's it's quiet.
Yeah.
It just and you'd be like turning into what would be the Rams versus the Titans or whatever game was on.
Yeah.
And you recognized the significance of that one game and result, that it would always be the same. And so these guys just played not too long ago in this game, and here, you know, here we are back watching them. You're jealous. That's the true feeling. You know, you don't want to stay for the game. You go home and watch it, but you do come away, you know, that much more motivated to chase this thing again.
What made you go onside Super Bowl 44 to kick off that second half, Sean?
Look, Parcells had a big impact on my career.
Hell yeah.
And it really was more of a fake punt idea that you got to steal a possession. Manning was playing really well. Their offense was playing really well. And he had done that in a championship game against Montana in Candlestick. The Giants were a heavy underdog. That's the year they had Hostetler. Sims was hurt. And they upset the 49ers in San Fran. And then they upset the Bills wide right. And he had just talked about stealing a possession. And, yeah, so, I mean, that's how that initial thought began. The bye week, you know, you have your bonus week. Our special teams coaches, Greg McMahon, and that whole group came to me like there's too many looks with the punt fake. But we've got this other idea, and so it was that whole onside kick idea. Morstead was a rookie, and the biggest mistake I made in that game, it's a half an hour, 35-minute halftime, and I had told Thomas we were going to do that like 4 minutes into halftime.
So that's when you decided we're going to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we were kicking off, and the momentum really was all in the Colts' favor in the first half.
Yeah.
And so the Who was playing. I can remember, you know, you're hearing the music, but I told him too early. He had to sit on that. Like, he had to sit on that for 30 minutes. And
Damn.
That was.
But you had to sit on it, too, for 30 minutes,
But I didn't have to kick it. He did.
No, I understand that. But did you, in the 30 minutes, think
what we did
about pulling that
what
back?
We did was, no.
Okay.
I told the defense, be ready. You might have a short field.
Okay.
And when you really look at this for a second, like Payton was rolling, right?
Yeah.
And so let's say the recovery area is the 40. I mean, that's 2 completed passes by him with a normal kickoff. And then we put together, it's the one game where you come out of your pads. You know, normally you have 8 minutes. In this game, you have 30.
Yeah.
You come out of your pads, you get dry shirts on, the players do. There's food, there's, you know, it's a long halftime. And we actually put in another 8 plays to open the second half. And we put those starters, those plays in on the left hash first, 40-yard line, with the idea we're recovering. Play 1 is this, play 2 is this, play 3 is this, play 4 is this, and I believe play 5, we score on the screen to Pierre and went right in order.
Wow.
And it doesn't happen that way that often.
No, it doesn't.
But it got back to Bill's feeling, and look, how do we change the momentum? I think there was like an hour and 10 minutes took place between the last time Payton had a snap. We had the ball to finish the second quarter. All right. We recover. We go down and score. And by the time he took another snap, I think an hour had gone by.
Damn. Is it entirely possible that when you made this decision, Sean Payton, hearing the Who, that the song was "We Won't Get Fooled Again" when you came up with that possible?
I want to say it was Pinball Wizard.
I love it. Sean Payton here on the Rich Eisen Show. And when I saw the Chiefs and called the game in Germany against Miami, they were pissed because they had just lost to you, and they are not used to losing in division, and they were pissed. They were talking about how practices were rough, and they were just ornery because you took care of business against them. What were you able to affect that you think the Niners can mimic in any way, shape, or form?
It's a good question. The uniqueness of that game was, every once in a while you use analytics. And so when teams go on the road prior to Europe, so it doesn't happen a lot. A lot of times you have a home game before you go to Europe. But on the road before London, on the road before Germany, that record prior to the road trip is like 2-14. And why is that? Well, you're going on the road, and then you're going right from there to and so the travel of the next game takes precedent, and the restaurant we're going to be in London. The distractions? We're going on the road, and then we're going to Europe. And I remember talking to our players about, look, here's what the numbers suggest. It's a tough game to play in, and I was a part of that. We went to Carolina before we'd always go play in London, and we lost in Carolina. And so now I want you to flash forward to where they're at now. I think we're seeing a team in Kansas City that's really hot. I think one of the more understated strengths of this postseason has been their defense. I mean, they're playing really good defense. And just think of their journey. They have the Miami game, obviously the cold weather game. On the road to play a real good Buffalo team and a win. On the road to play arguably one of the best teams in our league, Baltimore, and get a win. And on the other side of this, we're seeing a 49er team that's not playing their best right now. I mean,
sure, you can make that case easily.
They at some point in the year were, but beat Green Bay, come back and show enough grit and beat Detroit. So I think from Kyle's perspective, he'll play on that. Like, hey, this is what it looked like. We got to be better than that. We got our best football ahead of us. But I think in Kansas City's case, I think Spags has done a great job. I think defensively a lot was made of what Baltimore didn't do offensively. But if you really paid close attention to that game, the time of possession, I mean, they couldn't get Kansas City's offense off the field that first drive. And so when you have a time of possession tilt that's significant, you're not going to have the rushing attempts. You're not going to have the first downs. And I think you're getting a hot team right now.
So you think Kansas City will take this?
Look, my coaching points when I came on these shows this morning was that you cannot
don't do it. Don't even go in that direction.
Recommend a game or any of that. And then certainly they're a division opponent.
Yeah, right.
And so, but I do think you're seeing a hot team, and then you're seeing a team. Obviously, the people that do it for a living, the Vegas bookman, they kind of see this in a much different way, and they're the experts.
Sean Payton here, courtesy of Zebra Technologies. Before we get to that dot that you put on the desk right here, what is your plan at quarterback for 2024?
Great question.
Thank you.
What's interesting is, so already there's stories of us trading up, trading down, drafting this, drafting that. Our first scouting meetings, we call it the front board meetings, they begin Monday.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the jersey number of any of these college players. And so anything that's been written relative to that process begins for us Monday. There's a puzzle. The board flips for all of us. We flip it back. All the pieces are scrambled around. Quarterback's one of them. We have our musts, our needs, and our wants. Can we find that in free agency? Can we find it in the draft? We pick 12th, or is it in the building? And I think that includes Russ. That discussion has to include Russ. And I think there's this presumption that he's not going to be part of the plan, and I recognize why that exists. And yet, as we look closely, because here's the thing we got to be careful about. If you just jump on the NFL train, then you're like, well, there's 6 quarterbacks, take one of them. take Joey Harrington, not Julius Peppers, right? John Fox, Ernie Accorsi. You got to take Harrington. No, you don't. And this idea that the NFL bus tells us, here are the guys, when you and I and all of us know there's only going to be one or two of those guys that we hit on.
Yeah.
So do we love one in the draft? I can't tell you that because we haven't seen him yet. Is there someone to hold the fort currently in our league, or possibly a young player in our league that maybe is waiting to excel and in the right situation? We've seen that happen, right? Get the right fit. I mean, Baker Mayfield this year had a great season. So, and then also Russell Wilson, Jared Stidham, players that are on our team right now. That puzzle, like, we just flipped the board, and I think it's our job to really look closely at it and listen to the train, but not get on that train.
Well, a lot of the train's already left the station because you sat Russ, to end the season, and that indicates where you're going.
Correct, but he and I have a great relationship, and he wants to be back, and so that means something. But we'll see.
Sean Payton here on the Rich Eisen Show, courtesy of Zebra. What is this? I think I know what this is.
Look, we've done this 10 years now. This is the year 10 for Zebra. Next Gen Stats came into our league 10 years ago. Miles per hour, Tyreek Hill, 22. All the information that we're gathering now really starts with this little chip that's put in the shoulder pads.
It's not on top of the shoulder, right? It's
like
right there,
dug in.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And there's two of them. And then you have to outline the field, right? You have to put just like you would in your backyard if you had a dog with an invisible. You have to have a field.
Sure.
And then when this enters the field, we get the data.
What do you do with that? Do you really?
Well,
I mean,
for me, it was injury. It still is soft tissue. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to back off practice today. What does that mean? But receivers are 6.5 miles of practice generally. And then I've got Brandon Cooks is at 8.5. And I'm like, whoa, why is he overtraining? And so we get a little bit more specific relative to their distance traveled, how fast they're traveling, and in trying to reduce soft tissue injuries. It's in the ball, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
when are we going to use that to see if there's a touchdown or a first
I'm only
down?
here to just tell you it's in the ball. I'm not here to.
Well, okay. Doesn't mean to overstep.
But I'm going to say this. Before we even talk about the ball crossing the goal line, I always like the punt that's in the air high that goes out of bounds.
Yeah, and then the official just raises his hand.
No, he keeps walking until I say, that's about right.
It always looks like the yodeler from Price is Right going up that cliff.
No, 100% it does.
I want to hear the yodeling.
He says that's about right. And if he happens to have to yawn or cough, we're going to lose 6 yards. If something happens to him where he just can't, we're just going to lose 6 yards.
Right. Oh, my gosh. And so that is
Target.
Zebra technology.
Yeah, it's the barcode.
I love it.
We go into the store, we swipe something, that's Zebra.
You're the man, Sean. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be on.
Really appreciate it. That is the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he's wearing his Super Bowl ring on his left hand right there.
It's the only weekend.
Look at that. What, isn't that a little honey?
They put it on the sphere. That's pretty cool.
Right?
All the rings are on that, and it's really unbelievable.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.